I was at the rental counter today, and as usual, at the rental counter, I asked what my choices might be after scanning the lot, and I was told that my rate included a hybrid. I could have a Ioniq, a Nero hybrid, or a Prius of the current generation. And given that I was driving from Los Angeles International to Sacramento and leaving at 6:30 in the evening, I knew the choice was going to be pretty easy, and that the Prius was going to be the car to have, even though they were pushing the Nero quite heavily. I was immediately happy with that choice, and I've just been happier since. Every time I drive this car, my overwhelming impression is that this is in fact a driver's car. In surprising ways. It's not a driver's car in the traditional sense, in the purest sense, but it's clearly a car that's been set up for the driver, for someone who is going to be spending lots of time behind the wheel. I feel respected in this car in the way I feel respected in a driver's car that's aligned all its parameters around driver enjoyment and performance. There's some interesting tells. The car is refined, directionally stable, easy to control, and speaking of controls, there's a really driver-centric feel to the controls. There's kind of a companion in how this car is set up, especially if you know how to dig through the screens and menus. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. So, first example, the climate control. You can set it up where the system says that function is off, or you can set it up to be driver priority. So driver priority means it's going to focus its energy on making sure that the driver is comfortable. Another example, this car can dim its displays down from where it was where I picked it up, down to where I like it, and even further, where the lights on the steering wheel are now gone. One click up, the lights come back. I don't think you'll be able to see that on this phone recording. But you can shut everything down but the main display and not be bothered by information you don't need. And speaking of information you don't need, you can even shut down the radio display. Pardon me. I thought the lane keep was on, but it isn't. You can even shut down the main display and have this display tell you most everything you're going to need. So there's kind of a companionship happening with this car that I really respect. There's a feedback loop between the machine and the driver, not only on a mechanical and controls level. And again, we're not talking about this is a Porsche Cayman in disguise. I'm simply saying that this is set up in a nurturing, careful way to care for drivers who are going to spend a lot of time behind the wheel with this object, whether they be rideshare drivers or commuters. I respected it the moment it hit the dealer lots. I respect it every time I'm in one as a passenger. I respect it all the more today, having spent 3 hours straight behind the wheel, achieving about 50 miles a gallon. A Mustang, of course. Same Mustang who... yes, the same Mustang who pulled ahead of me just a few minutes ago. Anyway, Prius's appearance aside, if you want to get around, do so efficiently, have a refined, reliable car that will then reward you when it comes time to sell it again, I would strongly consider one of these cars as a daily, especially if you're doing longer commutes and longer distances, something I don't traditionally say of Japanese cars in general, and I haven't said of any past Prius. The second generation Prius was my favorite Prius prior to this, but it feels like more of a city car that can do occasional shorter highway trips. This current generation of car is a car that I think makes a great car as a highway car, a commuter, or an intercity car. Again, in a way that I associate more with European vehicles. So get past the appearance, focus on the experience, and you'll find yourself a good, well-resolved, well-engineered vehicle here. And if you don't like the appearance, do remember that there is also the Prius Prime, which I find to be somewhat more attractive, and it also obviously functions as a plug-in hybrid, not just a standard hybrid. So I hope that this helps you see the Prius in a new light, as it were. And yeah, be careful with what you end up buying, because it's very rare that they don't disappoint these days. This car does not disappoint. There's a damn good reason that lots of people seem to be happy with them, and that is something I absolutely could not say of the last generation car. So kudos to Toyota again. We're at the end of, I think, this car's product cycle, and it still measures up to the best of what's on the road today. So well done, Toyota. Much respect.